So, how's the market? We're almost 2 months into 2020. I'm a little late with this month's market update for February 2020, but I apologize about that. I'm going to give you numbers for January, as I always do. The video is for data 1 month old. And so the question is, how are we looking in 2020? I'm Justin Miller with the Chong Miller Group. And so let's take a look at some of those numbers for the market update. First number to pay attention to, the average sales price, or the median sales price, actually. And remember, we're going to look at single family homes that get sold in the Las Vegas Valley. Not new construction, but rather existing single family homes. So in January 2020, we were at a median sales price of $300,000. Now it's interesting because that's what I had said throughout the entirety of 2019 had been our sort of steady state price. We had gotten quickly to, in February actually, to 300,000, and we stayed just about $300,000 for the median sales price of a single family home all year long. And so that's where we're starting 2020, at that $300,000 line. Now, interestingly, that's actually up $3,000 from January of 2019. So we are up 1%, or we finished up, if you will, 1% over the past 12 months. I don't think that's a good indicator of what we're going to see this year. I think that actually we're going to see prices increasing fairly substantially this year. And there's a couple reasons for that, and I'll talk about those in a minute. So let's look at something else. Let's look at the number of closings. The number of sales that completed in January of 2020, single family homes, 2,143. Now, if you've been watching this series of videos, you know December, January, February are seasonally the slowest time of year. There can be a little bit of variation, but seasonally, it gets cold here, the holidays hit, and people don't want to go out and look at homes, let alone put them in contract or close on them. So that tends to be the weakest time of year. January was down a little bit, about 280 from the December number. December 2019 was incredibly strong. January was still very strong. But to give you a little bit more insight, January of 2019, there were 1,717 homes that closed in Las Vegas Valley. January 2020 is a much stronger month, 2,143 homes. That gap, about 425 homes, we did 25% more transactions in January of 2020 than we did in January of 2019. I think that's an indicator for the year in front of us. December was a strong month. January was a strong month. It was 25% higher than the prior January. Well, what about inventory? What's inventory look like? We finished January of 2020 with 2.1 months worth of homes. That happens to be 5,561 houses for sale in the Las Vegas Valley. That's all price points, previously owned, single family homes. So what does that mean in terms of month supply relative to where we had been? 2.1 months January. We were at 2.4 months of supply in December. We were at 3.5 months in January of 2019. So what does month supply mean? That means if no new inventory came into the market, and if everything just simply sold as opposed to badly priced stuff sitting there forever, it would take 2.1 months to get through the entirety of the inventory. A metric that a lot of real estate agents use nationally to give an indication of a healthy market is about 6 months supply. Las Vegas is a little bit different than the national in terms of a lot of the ways in which activity takes place here, but a 4 to 5, so something a 4.0 to 5.0 months supply, tends to be a very balanced market. It means that the supply and the demand are about equal. That doesn't mean that every house is going to sell. There are problems with some houses. Some houses are going to sell really quickly, but if you just had the average house and it was priced averagely, it would take you about 2 months to get through the market to get to a close. That's what we're at right now, right? Generally healthy housing market in Las Vegas, generally balanced housing market in Las Vegas has twice this level of supply, maybe a little bit more. In terms of the inventory numbers, the number of homes for sale, in December of 2019, we had 6,357 homes for sale. Remember, 5,561 at the end of January. Well, how's that stack up year over year? January of 2019, we had 8,667 homes for sale. That's 36% more homes for sale last January, the end of last January, than what we had at the end of this January. This housing market is getting tight, and that's a strong indicator of what we're going to start to see on pricing. The reality is, and as if you've been watching this video series, you know I've been saying we've had tight inventory. We're getting 60,000 net increase in population every year. We've got people moving here for jobs, people moving here for retirement, people moving here for school, people moving here for a variety of reasons. They need places to live. So yes, there is apartment construction that's taking place. There is new home construction that's taking place, new condo construction that's taking place. That's not sufficient to house all of the people who are moving here. We'd had very tight inventory in the below the median price point, below that $300,000 number previously. This past year, we started seeing very tight inventory, even $350,000 and below. And being out there in the market over this past month and a half, 2 months, I can tell you it's starting to get to be tight inventory at anything $600,000 and below. We see product sitting in the market. Some of it's sitting for quite a long time. It may be priced poorly or it may be in really bad shape. But things that look good, things that are well taken care of, things that have been maintained, things that are presented well into the marketplace, they're in short supply. If you are a buyer, you need to start thinking you're going to have to be looking at slightly higher price points. If your limit had been $275, you're going to have to look up to $285, $290. If your limit had been $305, $310, you're going to have to start looking to $325. Now, fortunately, interest rates right now are really low. As I'm recording this, actually, interest rates hit an historic low on the 30-year bond. On 10-year bonds, which most mortgages are priced off of, we're at almost the historic low. So there are mortgages out there in the 3.0 to 3.25% if you've got a good credit rating. That increases your affordability, but that purchase price, you're going to have to start looking a bit higher because the inventory is really tight. If you find something, if you were looking at 325 and you find something at 350 that's in great shape, that might be a fantastic buy for you because you may not find anything at 325. And if you do, that product might be something that, you have to put a lot of work into it. So we've got a tight housing market right now. We just do. That's the reality of the situation in the market. The economics of that market are when you've got too little supply and too high a demand, you get price movement. And that price movement, I think this year, we're probably going to see price appreciation in the housing market, something between 8 and 10%. So right now, if we were to go up 10% from $300,000 as a median sales price, that means by the end of the year, we're looking at $330,000 as the median price point. Be prepared. You're going to have to be looking at slightly higher price points in this market than what you thought you were going to be looking at. Again, because interest rates are low, your overall monthly payment stream, you live in the payments, it's the amount that you have to pay out every month, is going to remain about the same, may actually even be slightly less. You're going to have to be more flexible on the purchase price. If you're a seller, you're starting to get pricing power. This past year in 2019, we saw sellers and sellers agents misreading the market and thinking they could price higher because inventory was constrained, especially in the low end of the market. And we saw a lot of buyers balking at that, and places that were priced too high simply sitting on the market. Sellers in 2020, you've got more pricing power than you had last year. You're going to be able to start commanding higher price points. The inventory that's out there at lower price points is very, very tight. And looking at that inventory over the past 2 months, much of that inventory is in a shape that it needs considerable amount of work, right? If a buyer has to come in and put $10,000 into rehabbing the cabinets or redoing the flooring or something like that, if you're a seller, you might be thinking as well, then it may behoove you to put in some of those minor upgrades now so that you present better in the marketplace, because well-presenting homes are in very tight supply. Why? All homes are in tight supply right now, and the better the home, the quality, you're a segment, you're a small segment of the overall inventory. So if we've got 2.1 months worth of inventory at the end of January, maybe we've got like 2 weeks worth of inventory that's of really high quality in the marketplace right now. And that's across price points from the approximately $600,000 and below. So I am Justin Miller with the Chong Miller Group. We help people buy and sell homes. And if you're looking to buy a home, we'd be happy to represent you. If you're looking to sell a home, we'd be happy to represent you. Actually, if you're a seller, please contact us. We'd like to sit down with you. We'd like to talk about what you have that you're trying to sell, what you're trying to do with it. We'd like to help you figure out how to position it best in the marketplace. And the reality is, we need some more quality product to put into the marketplace. If you've got a quality home, it's going to sell. If you've got a home that needs some work, we can help you figure out how to do that work to get it sold, because it will sell in this market. Buyers, there are sellers out there that are looking to sell. You're going to need to have a little bit more patience. When we find something for you, you're going to need to act pretty quickly, because there are others out there who are going to be competing with you, especially on that high quality inventory. So please give us a call, give us an email. I'd be happy to sit down with you. We can meet over coffee or hot chocolate. We can meet over the phone, whatever it is you want. But let's get busy and let's engage in this market this year. Thank you.